She's a little book shepherd. Ta-da! Hello everybody, I'm the Dragon Princess and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a bit of a book haul because literally today I went out and went to a secondhand bookshop and perused their fiction section and got a lot of books. So my bookshelf, as you can see now, there's some gaps where these books were because I figured it all out. I don't really have that much room left, but you know, these books, they fill them out. So basically with this, I could have gone crazy, but I limited myself to books that I knew, so like book titles that I instantly knew that I would like, and that were kind of on my Goodreads want to read list, or if they were part of a series on my bookshelves. So that is kind of what a lot of this is. It's getting seconds, thirds, fourths books for my bookshelf. That doesn't necessarily mean that I've completed the series, but yeah. So I think I'm just gonna go through these. So yeah, so the first book that I got was Disillusion by J.C. Sansom. This is the first book in a series. The series is on the back with all of these titles, so it's the first one, and I have the last one, the Lamination, which is actually this giant book here. So they actually had, I'm pretty sure they had the entire series there, but I just wanted to get the first book. I didn't want to like go crazy with it because there are 6 books, so I have the first and the 6th. This is a historical fiction, and it's, well, see, this one's funny because this one doesn't really have the thing on the outside, it has it on the inside. So this is historical fiction. It's in the time of Henry VIII, and sort of it's like basically that story again. I believe it follows Thomas Cornwell, and a few other people from that sort of era. So I have read this story, I've watched this story, I know this story a lot, but I just think it's cool to read it again. I really enjoyed the story of the War of the Roses. Yeah, I've watched it and read it so many times, so it's just kind of like another one to add to the pile. There's only one book that broke my rule. So this is A Veil of Spears by Bradley Ulia. Don't know, but yeah. So the reason why this breaks my rule is because I have never heard of this. I don't know what I didn't know what it was, and it is not part of my bookshelves already. So this is definitely a fantasy. I know that. So the Knight of the Endless Sword saw the death of one of Shangri-La's immortal kings, and revealed that asterism for the king's frightening immortal slaves are in fact the slurs as Sida's ancestors. So this is like the 3rd book in the series. Yeah. So this is the 3rd book. The reason why I wanted to pick this up, I did think it was really, really cool. The cover's purple, but it also was blurbed by Robin Hobb, and I just trust that. He just says it's breathtaking, but I mean, I have a few of Robin Hobb's books, and he is one of the authors that I am very excited to read and get more of his stories. So that was pretty much the only reason that not the only reason that I got this book. It did sound interesting. I do think it's cool. The next book that I have is Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. This one fits because I do know it. I also have just recently bought another one of her books, Stormglass by her. They are both trilogies. They're both the first books in separate series. They're both by the same author. And I knew both of them, so that is why I got this one, because I knew it. And I just think it's super interesting, so very excited to read it. Definitely going all over the place with like my reading and stuff. I'm very much like jumping from book to book. Like if there was a series that would be sort of like the series that I read, like if all the books were out, I would only read that series like in that order and not read any other books in between. So it didn't really help me at all. But now I think I'm just gonna like read books because I'll remember them. Alright, so the next one that I have is Rogue by Julia Kagawa. I have read a few of her books before. I read The Iron King and The Iron Daughter of the Iron Fae series. And I also read Talon, which is the first book. Rogue is the second book. I don't have it on here because I didn't have a physical copy, but I now have the second book as a physical copy, and now I can read it. So this is fantasy. This is about dragons and dragon assassins, and it may be kind of like a Romeo and Juliet sort of scenario where the two sides fall in love. Don't know if that's possibly a spoiler, but I really liked Talon, so I am excited to read this book, and that is why I picked it up. And I'm glad I found the second one and not like the fourth or like the third. So glad I have that. The next book that I bought is Defy the Stars by Claudia Gray. This book, I already know what it is. So this is a big sci-fi one. It's a romance about two teenagers. They're stranded on an abandoned ship in space. So, and they are sworn enemies. So I'm assuming it's a, enemies to lovers kind of book, which I super love. This is, I believe this is a standalone, so that is pretty good. I'm happy with buying standalones because I can just read them and not worry about them being in a series. Quite funny because it's very similar to Across the Universe, which yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Alright, so the next book that I picked up was Ruined by Amy Tintera. I know of this book, so that is why I picked it up. This is a fantasy, and it is set in a kingdom, and that is what I have been kind of reading lately. What I'm drawn to is fantasy books that are set in like the kingdoms and stuff, so very excited to read this. Basically she is out to get vengeance. She's doing that by infiltrating the enemy's kingdom, posing as the crown prince's betrothed. She would lead an ambush. She would kill the king and everyone he holds dear, including his son. The closer M gets to the prince though, the more she questions her mission. So it's one of those kind of books, and I am loving those kind of books at the moment. So when I saw this, I knew of it and I just definitely had to pick it up. Alright, so those are all the sort of books that aren't really finishing off any series, but are like kind of, they're the first books, kind of standalone. Yeah, I'm excited to read them anyway. The next books, we ended up with a theme with finishing these series off, and I will show you, but like, yeah, so these are all finishing them off. So I got book 2 and 4. This is the Tiger's Quest and Tiger's Destiny. And I already have Tiger's Voyage. And I do not have Tiger's Curse. So that's the first one that I'm missing. It's funny because these are in paperback and this one is in hardcover, so it's much bigger. I'm not fussed by that, but we have a red, purple and green sort of theme. I'm assuming the first one is blue, so that's gonna look kind of cool on my shelf. Basically these are very heavy fantasy, like high fantasy. These kids going on a quest, like a goddess, and these kids are all like sort of against each other, but obviously they have to work together, and it's full of magic, and the covers look extremely cool. So I am excited to read these. I might just read them 2 to 4. Don't know if I'll ever find the last one, because the first one, because there was actually the Tiger's Voyage, but like as a small hardcover, small soft paperback. But because I already had it in a hardcover, I didn't want to pick it up and sort of have 2 copies because I'm not that kind of person. Alright, the next books that I picked up were the 2nd and the 4th books, I believe, because I'm missing the 3rd. Because I thought this one was the 3rd and this one was the 1st, so. So this is the Empire of Mongolia by Alex Ruthford. So we have Raiders from the North, Tainted Throne, and Brothers at War. Not in that order. And again, I saw this book as small paperback because I already had the hardback, I didn't want to get it, so I left that one behind. This is a bit like historical fiction, set in the 1494. So that's kind of like, if I'm reading historical fiction, that's kind of the area that I like to read in, sort of 1700s and back. Not crazy on reading 1800s, 1900s stories, so anytime that's got like ancient history sort of things in, then I will pick it up. But yes, these were the books that I bought, and the reason I bought them because I nearly complete a series. I will probably start reading them and like read the first 2, maybe find the 3rd and then go on to the 4th, or I might just jump. I know it's a sin, but like, you can see the sort of theme with like the red and the green sort of going for it. Alright, and the final book that I bought was Xena, Quicksilver Twilight by Stan Nicholas. The reason I got this was because it finished a series, or was another part of a series, didn't really finish it. This is the 3rd book and this is the 2nd book. So again, you can see the theme of like purple and green. I'm missing the 1st book, which is Quicksilver Rising. I hope that I can find that, because then I'll be able to read the full trilogy and that will be great. So I love these covers though, so I'm very excited to have this last book. So that means I'm one step closer to getting the full trilogy and being able to read the first book. So alright, so that is all the books that I bought today. I am super happy to be adding some books that I can actually read instead of having ones that are like the fourth or the third or the second in a series. So that'll be really nice coming up to actually read them. So yeah, so I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and remember, I'm Dragon Princess. I'll see you all later. Bye!